Howdy and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today I'm going to be reviewing a game that claims to be the wildest game in the wilderness, Big Thunder Mountain Railroad, based off of the Disney ride of the same name. So is it going to live up to that title of the wildest game in the wilderness? Stick with me and let's find out. But first, let's go to a gameplay overview. Okay, so the gameplay for this game is pretty simple. We got this set up for a 3-player game, and when you do that, you're going to have 3 marbles set up to begin with. I'm going to add the fate at the very end, this kind of red marble that when it comes out, you're going to grab the top card of this and see what it does. And so that's all that really does. So the first thing you're going to do on your turn is you're going to run 3 marbles by just turning this like this. 1, 2, and 3. Got 3 water there. So there's 4 different types of marbles, 3 normal marbles in the fate marble. You've got a gold marble, you've got water marble, and you got the raw ore marble. And so you're going to basically take your starting hand of 8 cards. You're going to take the top 4 of that, and you're going to look through here and decide what you're going to do. And so this card right here will allow me to move 1 and to take the supply action. And so I move 1. You can do it in either order. And so grab a supply. We got this as a tunnel here that you can run a marble and then just go to, you can choose whether or not you want to go where that is, and then you can bail water, or you can bail water either way and then do that. Here you can take 2 different pan actions and move once. Here you can do 2 pick actions and move once. So let's just say I wanted to grab this one right here, puts it in the discard, and then the next thing I can do is, because I am with the nugget here that's with the water, I can take a pan action. Had there not been any water here, I would have wanted to do the pick action. But since there's water there, we do the pan action, grab the gold, and then I could move 2 if I wanted to. Or actually, I could even just move 1. You don't have to move the full distance. And then I could use this for its pick action. Now, alternately, some of these cards allow you to discard to move. And so that's an example of a turn. And once you get back around to town, you will then be able to sell these for 2 coins or points for the gold, 1 coin or point for the ore. And so you put those back in when you get back around to town. Let's just say we got back around to town there. We sell those. I could either choose to get the 3 coins, or I could get a couple coins and a point. However I wanted to do that. And then you spend your coins to get upgrades. You can also spend your coins to get a town share, which can give you either 1 point like this one, or 2 points, or even 3 points. Now there's a couple that have been set aside. These ones, when somebody gets to 20 points, they get to look at both of them, decide which one they want to keep. Of course, they're going to keep the highest value one, and then they'll be able to do that. And if anybody, that triggers the end game when somebody gets to 20 points. And if anybody else crosses, they can get the next one, but there's only enough for 1 less than the amount of players. So the last person that crosses, if they manage to make it, doesn't get to get one of those. And at the end of the game, you're going to add up all the points that you got from selling your gold and your ore back. You'll get all the points that you get from your different cards that you bought throughout the game. And you don't get anything from your upgrades, but sometimes you want to spend that money early on in order to be able to get some powerful upgrades. Here you can have 5 cards in your hand, which is a really powerful one because it means you're taking an extra action each turn. New supply cards go straight into your hand instead of your discard, and so that's kind of handy because you can use those immediately, and those are the more powerful actions that you can take. You've got here a big claim. You can pick and pan at a nearby shaft, so you don't have to be actually on it. It can be one of the adjacent ones. You have here raw ore counts as gold nuggets, and so normally the raw ore was only worth 1 point or 1 coin, but instead it's worth 2 points or 2 coins. And then here, you normally can't pick if there's water in a place, but here this allows you to pick where there is water. And then you've got 2 town tokens for bailing water. I didn't go over bailing water as one of the actions that is on the cards here. Looks like that. And what happens is, if you were on a place with water, you could take the bail water action. It doesn't go in there. I don't know why I did that. You put that in there, and then you're able to get 1 coin for doing that. And so... and of course, then you spend the coins to get things later on in the game. And so if you were to have this upgrade, you'd actually be able to get 2 coins for doing that. And so that's the basics of the game. At the end of the game, you are going to see who has the most points. And that's all there is to it. Okay, so let's get into what I think about this game. And let's start with talking about the components themselves. The board is a pretty good solid material, and it comes apart into 4 different pieces that kind of fit together, very puzzle piece like, if you can kind of see there like that. And so I like the board. It looks nice. It's got a nice aesthetic to it, and it's good quality. Let's see, the cards themselves are fairly decent. I wouldn't say they're good quality cards, but I like some of the color that you see on some of these cards. My favorite being this blue deck right here, and these are, of course, each player's starting cards has their own color. This one almost looks the same as the supplies. It's kind of it's a little bit darker version of brown to me, rather than the grayish color of the person there. But you see the different colors there. The symbology is very clear. You can quickly figure out what each card does and be able to kind of see real quick what you can do with it, which is great, especially since this is kind of a family weight game. You want people to be able to just kind of see the symbols. Don't have to read a whole lot. There are a few cards that do have some writing on it. It says, or discard to move. And so if your kids aren't able to read yet, you're going to have to explain kind of what that does right there. Other than that, everything else is just symbols, and so it's very easy to keep track of. These player boards, I like them. They're a thin material. They each have their different colors, and you have a place to put coins. You have up to 5 coins that you can have and up to 3 upgrades that you can have. And so that keeps everything in a nice, tidy place. Each one has a name of a different railroad car from the ride. And so that's kind of nice there as well, that you kind of have some thematic going on there as well. And then you got a little place here to put all the supplies. And so everything has a place just about on the board. Coins, these are just kind of your standard cardboard coins. Nice, and they fit, of course, right on the boards. And so everything's kind of made to go like that. And so the components overall are what you kind of expect. You got these kind of small cards. I'm never a big fan of the small cards because they're a little bit harder to shuffle. But these aren't terribly hard to shuffle, and you're not going to do a lot of shuffling anyway, just kind of once per game. And so that's okay. This piece right here, it's good quality, a nice solid piece that you're going to be turning around, and it easily fits 1 marble in there. I think we accidentally one time got 2 marbles in there, but generally only will get 1 marble. The marbles themselves are very nice quality. The marbles are marbles, but I like the colors, especially the gold and the water. You've got your red marble for the Fate marble. Next thing I want to talk about, though, is this kind of flimsy piece here, and I got marbles all over the place in here. They're probably going to go all over the place now. But this is kind of flimsy. I'm not sure of how well this will hold up overall. And another problem is when you go ahead and you turn these, they're going to want to mostly fall straight into this bottom pit right here. And so you're going to get a lot more here than you are in other places, and so you'll wind up with maybe a whole bunch pooling right down in this section, and only a few coming over here and up here. And so that's a problem when you're playing, as far as everybody's going to be scrambling to the same area, and you're going to have very little on this side and very little on this side. And also you can kind of somewhat manipulate, if you try hard, where they're going to go as you're turning this. And so that could be another kind of issue. It's not fully random. But at the same time, you're looking at a game that's a lightweight game. It's not a game to be taken too seriously. And so I don't have too big of a problem with that. I just wanted to kind of mention that up front, that there is a little bit of an issue as to where the marbles go and the quality of the plastic part here. But again, this part, I almost wonder why you couldn't make all of it out of this kind of hard plastic. But of course, that's going to be cost right there. And of course, this isn't a very expensive game, so let's keep that in mind. We're talking about component quality. These are good quality cardboard for your upgrades. No problems there. These train carts are of a decent quality as well. And they're a little wonky looking, but I think that was by design. They're a little kind of off angled, and I think that may have been by design. You also have the trains here. Are good quality as well. And so I like these. I like the colors, the nice and bright colors. Overall, the quality is decent for how much you're going to pay. And so I wouldn't expect anything higher quality except maybe the plastic of the hill right there. Okay, let's talk about gameplay now. Now, this isn't going to be the most highly strategic type game. In fact, it's a family weight game, so let's keep that in mind. One thing I noticed, player count is best played, I think, in 2 to 3 players. We played a 4-player game recently, and that game you started running out of marbles because some people would have some marbles left in their cart still, as they hadn't gotten back into town. And so you quickly kind of, with everybody collecting marbles, ran out. So it could have done with extra marbles maybe for 4 players. You also run into issues with the who goes first and who goes last. There seems to be a little bit of imbalance towards those who go later in turn order are going to have some struggles. First of all, they're going to have a struggle as far as the upgrades go, is there's only 2 of each upgrade, and some of the upgrades are better than others. In fact, I would say probably the best upgrades in the game are the extra card to your hand, so you get a hand of 5, as well as quite possibly this one right here, which allows your gold to be worth, your ore to be worth as much as your gold. You also have a good one here in the pick for pan. And so there's a few that are higher up than others, and those are going to be gone usually before you get them if you're one of the later players, possibly. And so you kind of, there's a bit of first player reward there, as well as when you get to the end game trigger, everybody gets to go again. Now the first player triggers the end game, then everybody's going to have the same amount of turns. But if the, let's say, third player triggers the end, or the fourth player triggers the end game, then those first players are going to get 1 extra turn on everybody. And so there's a bit of imbalance there. Of course, if you're playing with a family, that could be helpful in that you can allow the kids to go first and kind of handicaps the adults a little bit. And so that's one thing to think about as far as that goes. But if you're trying to play very competitively with adults, it's going to be kind of a hamper on whoever gets to go last. A little bit of imbalance as far as that goes. I don't know the best answer to that. I might have said to go ahead and have everybody have an equal amount of turns. Go ahead and say that you finish out that round and everybody gets 1 last turn. Could have been a way to kind of better balance that, in my opinion. You'd still have the issue of not being able to get the upgrade that you wanted, but it wouldn't be as big of a deal as everybody having the equal amount of turns. But then again, family weight, let those kids go first, and then you kind of have a little built-in handicap there. So that's not too big of a deal if you're playing with your family there. Also, don't take this game too seriously. It's not going to be a highly strategic game, and it is a very good, though, introductory to some different mechanics. One of the things that it introduces well is the deck building mechanic. This is a very simple deck building mechanic where you are basically just adding once per time through your hand. You get to pick up a new card to add to be able to play later. And so that's very good. You don't have to, you're not buying cards every round, so you're not having to stress out about that if you're new to this kind of mechanic. And you're not spending money to be able to get better cards. And so you're basically just saying, okay, which one of these 3 card options do I want to take? And so it's a very simple way to introduce your kids to deck building. Again, it's not going to be, one of the best deck builders you're going to come across, but it's not really meant for that, I don't think. I think it's just basically introducing that mechanic. And so that's good if you're trying to introduce that mechanic to your family. And an interesting part of the game is when you get into town and you have to make the decision between if you're going to take your sales in points or tokens. Tokens allow you to buy upgrades. They allow you to buy town shares, which are going to get you points at the end of the game. And so you have to decide, do I want to get the money for that to be able to buy those upgrades early on in the game? You're going to want to focus probably a little bit on that so that you can get those upgrades quickly. And then, but later on in the game, you're going to want to get more points so you can quickly get past that 20 mark and end the game and have the most points at the end of the game. And so you got that little bit of that push and pull of decision making there, as well as what are you going to buy when you're in town. You can only buy one thing. And so you can buy a single upgrade or you can buy a single town share. And so which are you going to spend your money on? Or are you going to get those points, like I said? And so there's a little bit of an interesting kind of decision-making process there. Again, it's still fairly basic, but again, this is a family weight game, and so we're trying to keep things a little bit basic, but add in that little bit of decision-making that you can kind of learn and get better at making those and move on to games with bigger decisions. And so I think that's an interesting little small decision point that they make for players in the game. And it keeps it kind of interesting also for the adults, because there's a little bit of push and pull there as far as what you're going to do. Now, as far as the overall game itself, I'm going to say I'm going to give this a 7 out of 10. Again, that's keeping in mind the family weight of the game. And I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of replayability to me. I mean, after a while, it's going to kind of run its course. There's not a lot of different variable setups or variable things that are going to happen during the game. You do have your fate cards, but those are going to be the same fate cards you're going to run through. They're just going to be in a different order each time. There's certain upgrades that, again, are created less equal than others that are stronger, more powerful, that you're going to be wanting to focus on getting those ones. There's even one upgrade that I'm not sure I'd ever take. I'll let you decide on your own if you feel the same way, so I'm not going to spoil that one for you. But there's just, I don't see a lot of variability throughout the game. So I hope this video has been helpful if you're thinking about getting this game, and I'll catch you in the next video.